Good morning, everyone. I want to thank everyone for attending the Health and Human Development Committee. It is now 9:05 a.m. I will ask for a roll call by the clerk.
Raj, you on mute.
Yeah.
Thank you. Alderwoman Tyus, Vice Chair Oldenburg, Alderwoman Sonier,
Present.
Alderwoman Cox Antwi,
Present.
Chair Boyd.
Present.
We have three present. We have a quorum.
Thank you so much. I'll ask for the approval of minutes for Thursday, February the 5th, 2026.
I move to approve the minutes.
Second.
Roll.
Alderwoman Tyus, Vice Chair Oldenburg, Alderwoman Sonier,
Aye.
Alderwoman Cox Antwi,
Aye.
Chair Boyd.
Aye.
We have three aye votes.
Thank you. So we have I'm on for item number one, but we'll wait out, allow our guests to speak first. So we have Michael Browning, Board Bill 156. Alderman Browning, you're on.
Thank you, Chair. Good morning, everybody. Thank you for being here this morning. This is wonderful to be able to bring this bill to you. It is a bill that we've been working on for almost a year now with the Forestry Division and with really our city departments to try to make sure that we can update the forestry code. So, our forestry code is inconsistent right now. We have best practices that we know work, but what the division can currently do doesn't match with some of those best practices. Uh, Trees offer many benefits, including shade, reduction in temperatures, absorption of rainwater and CO2 emissions. They also contribute to reduce vehicle speeds, make streets more attractive and enjoyable to walk down. A few years ago now, my street lost all of its trees because of the emerald ash borer disease, and the temperature changed like overnight. Uh, we know that this can be of real benefit to residents when we have a good tree canopy. They also increase property values and lower energy costs for homeowners. This bill also updates the forestry code to be in line with modern standards, clarifies fines and fees for violations and the appeal process. It creates a funding source for the forestry division for from the fees they collect, and this also was written in close coordination with them, so you can trust that this will work with what they currently do, because they've been completely on board from the beginning. I want to put out my thanks to my former legislative assistant, Caitlin Smith, who really initiated this bill in her time in my office. She took one of our legislative breaks and put it to good use, and went and started working with the forestry department on helping them revise this code. I really could not have done this without her, and I think it's just testament to the good work we can do at the board when we just go back to look at codes that haven't been updated in a while and see how we can update them to better help our departments. So with that, I'm happy to take any questions, and I ask your favorable consideration. And I believe Caitlin's
Yeah,
online too.
she
If
just
you
got she just got on. Yeah.
good, okay.
And first let me how many people do we have speaking? Because I need to get that out the way to swear them all in so we can be on point. So I have one that raised their hand. Okay, okay. All right. Okay, so let's do this. Let's and I'm apologize, Alderman Browning. I need to get that out the way so I can make sure we won't have to go back and forth. Could everyone please raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God? I didn't hear anything.
Yes.
Okay.
Hey,
Yeah.
hey,
All right.
Alderwoman,
Uh-huh.
Alderwoman, transferring a couple of other people over who were on the other side who I know are on the list to speak.
Okay.
Um, yes, we transfer them over.
And so we could get that out the way so we won't have to stop, start to make sure everybody, we're taking care of our business.
Okay,
So that's everybody.
I moved everybody over who had the hand raised. Yes.
Okay. So again, everybody, please raise your right hand. Do you solemnly swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
Do.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. All right, now you're on Alderman Browning. So you said you have someone to speak.
Yes, if I think she'll be helpful for questions, but Caitlin, if you're on and if you'd like to say anything, you're certainly welcome to at this time.
Yep. Caitlin Smith, policy advisor to the mayor. The mayor's office is in support of this board bill. We're excited about the work that the alderman's office was able to do with the division, bringing them along through the entire process while I was in his office and after. And the Forestry Division is also here, as well as the Director of Parks, Recreation, and Forestry, to also speak in support and be able to answer any questions that you guys have.
You're muted, Alderwoman.
I was like, I'm muted. That big sign came up, said you're muted. And so I'll ask my colleagues if they have any questions. So Alderwoman Sonia, do you have any questions?
Uh, Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, members of the committee. I am losing my voice, so I'm sorry if I'm kind of in and out as I'm talking. I'm happy to repeat whatever. Um, I just wanted to first say, like, I think that I fully understand the intent of the bill and what it's getting at, and certainly our trees, especially post a tornado, where a lot of our trees have gotten ruined, is a very important thing. I think the first thing that I had questions about was just in regards to the authority for government employees to enter onto private property. Um, in the event of trees without a warrant or without like an exigent reason to inspect a tree for hazard. And I was just curious about this part of the legislation, if Alderman Brown or the commissioner could speak to how this works or how they kind of weave through the legalities of being able to do that, and if there was any concerns around that legally.
So
Alderman Brown?
I will happily let the Parks Commissioner talk about that, but just for the awareness, I think the bill is going to be a little bit confusing to read because there are things in it that did not change from the previous code, and that is one of them. So this is not changing what we've been doing there, and what they've been doing is perfectly legal. What they continue to do after this would pass would still be in that vein. So we're not changing that part of the code. But if the director or Alan Jankowski wants to share just how they handle that, I'm happy for them to share a little more details on just when that needs to be done.
Thank you.
Alan, your way.
I I can speak on that one. Usually, if there's a hazard tree that our arborists need to look at, usually if we pull in the alley, we can see that tree. We don't go on to private property normally. If it's a hazard tree, you can kind of spot it from the alleyway. But if you need to get a closer look and really look at that trunk of the tree, see the bark, see if there are cracks in it, see the defects, then we'll enter the private property and look at the tree, and then we're out of there. It usually, if you're there for 2 to 3 minutes, and then that's it. But I would say 90% of the time when we pull up, and someone is complaining about a private tree, usually you can spot it from the street or the alleyway. It pretty sticks out like a sore thumb. So I hope that answers your question.
And I'll follow up if I may, Chairwoman. A great question, Alderwoman. So and I echo Alderman Browning and Caitlin's, I echo their comments. I don't want to start thanking folks because there's too many people to thank that put work into this for the last year. Just a terrific collective effort. But a little bit more on what Alan's saying. Forestry would have its hands tied behind its back if it didn't have the authority to cite private owners for hazard trees on their property. I'd say the vast majority of the complaints, if you will, also known as service requests at CSB, those are reactive measures where a certified arborist from forestry will inspect and follow up. If it's a hazard, we follow up and cite the owner, and there's a process. If it's LRA property, we do a courtesy inspection. If it's a hazard, we forward that inspection to them, and they have their own crew to handle it. Forestry does not do any tree work on LRA properties. We do, as you know, brush and grass maintenance services. So we do cite the owner. We end up billing the owner after subsequent services are completed by a private contractor, and currently that is Hanson Tree Service. So it's a nice thing to have in our authority. And the last comment I'll make, vast majority are CSB, as I said, but we would be remiss if one of Alan's team members was driving down the street, saw a split tree on the property, realized we did not have a CSB on it, and maybe it's a high target area overhanging a playground, an alley, a right-of-way street, sidewalk, etc. They will proactively cite that without a CSB because they got their eyes on it. And so we will do that as well. So thank you.
Thank you. Is the my next question is about section 12A. Failure of a property owner to report city trees damaging sidewalks. Is this a new part or was this already in the code, the $500 penalty section?
Um,
I was
yeah.
having a difficult time hearing you. I'm sorry.
That part was already in the code. So that just pulled over from what's been there and into the new board bill.
Including the penalty?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. For section 12C, it says that it forces the property owners to water a city tree for 3 years. If I guess my question is around if that doesn't happen, is that where the fine would kick in, or is it kind of forestry who would be assessing and managing that timeline, or like CSB timelines? Who's managing that and how is it enforced?
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit. It's already like on the tree that they put on the little help me, please water me. This is just putting it also in the code and making sure that it's known. There's not a good way to tell if a tree hasn't been, watered consistently unless during the summer you can tell. If it's, 3 months later, there's not a good way to tell. But I'll also let Commissioner Jankowski speak if there's any plans for enforcement on this.
Yeah, no, I mean, for watering trees, we're just asking the public to help us out. We have in the budget this year, we're asking for four urban foresters to help us water trees throughout the summer. So we have that in our budget. We're keeping our fingers crossed that will pass through. But we have no intentions to fine anybody for not watering a tree.
And we have excellent, thank you, Alan, and thank you, Caitlin. We have excellent educational materials. If we did have the resources to water 2,700 to 3,300 trees planted every year, wide range, low end, high end, we would do that. We do not have those resources. So what we find is property owners that have a great sense of pride of the newly planted tree, they're very vigilant about planting them, and they'll call and ask questions. When should I water, et cetera, et cetera. Others may be just less vigilant, We just hope property owners can help us out.
Okay, I appreciate that context. I do read shall as a mandate, but I can hear you all saying you're just trying to strongly encourage residents. Um,
Correct.
for right now, just in regards in general to general just management of trees in city parks, does that um I guess who in general is responsible for that? Would that fall under forestry or under parks and recreation?
So park trees, that if a tree, the best way to describe that, Alderwoman, is if a tree is of any significant size, the forestry division is the division that will handle park trees, whether it's trimming or removing trees. And they do plant in the parks. The vast majority are done by forestry and volunteer groups in association partnership with forestry. If trees are of a smaller nature, if you will, than parks, and with no disrespect to parks, but they just don't have the aerial trucks, the chipper trucks, et cetera, et cetera. But smaller trees like understory trees, parks does have they do have the resources to handle those and coordinate with forestry. But when you think larger trees, you're thinking forestry.
Thank you. I guess kind of my last big question is around section 7, where it says that there's a permit required to plant or maintain, and no person shall plant, transplant, relocate, or replace any tree on city property without first obtaining an approved permit to plant from the forestry division. No person shall directly or indirectly perform maintenance, including but not limited to pruning or removal on any city tree without first obtaining an approved permit from the forestry division. The commissioner shall develop policies and procedures for the forestry division to cause the efficient and equitable issuance of tree planting or maintenance permits, including for volunteer arborists under the provision of this section. Is this a new part of the code? It seems like this is, and I'm just very curious about this context here, and what that looks like. I think for me, I have a lot of just a lot of volunteer groups and residents. Even I join them and we go like out and prune trees and do different things to them. And I think having to get a permit would be a huge burden. And also, I don't know that we always know in advance everybody who's going to show up to have them get a permit. So typically, there's like the leader of the organization or the person who brought us together might be certified and might, be an actual arborist and things like that. But then the rest of us, including myself, are not. But we don't want to just leave trees untaken care of or unmaintained. And obviously, different residents have different reasons for doing it. So I have like a lot of block captains or neighborhood organizations or smaller groups where we literally just go out and do that type of tree maintenance on a regular basis. And I know you all are familiar with Miss Goodwin, who kind of leads that and does that all around the city. And I'm just concerned about what that looks like here.
It is carried over. It's been the permit to plant and maintain has been with the prior ordinance. It's been there for decades, and I would respectfully contend it is not an arduous or tedious process, Alderwoman. I definitely commend and applaud volunteer groups for what they do in the neighborhoods, but we really don't want, well, how do I say it? No, we do not want anyone planting trees, trimming or removing trees without a permit. It's a very basic process. You send an application in, quick turnaround, and you follow the guidelines of the forestry division. The reason why it's very important is if someone goes in and plants 5 Bradford pears, which we haven't planted in years, or plants 3 sweet gums, and we have these inventories going on after the May 16th tornado, we come upon them at some point and say, wait a minute, who planted these? We have no idea who planted them. Or a tree gets trimmed too aggressively. Someone may call and say, what forestry do they even know what they're doing over here? And we said, we weren't there. It just causes problems. I would say the application and permit to plant and maintain process is outstanding. So if you've had prior problems, I definitely haven't heard, and I really don't recall ever receiving a complaint about the process. Oh, with all due respect. So we definitely need that process in there. Alan, I don't know if you have any other way in.
Yeah, I do. So the neighborhood foresters, Aaron Godwin is president, I believe, or the executive
Yes.
director for the neighborhood foresters. And we give out these, can't see my screen here. We give out these brown cards here and they say neighborhood forester on there, it means that they went through a course with forestry. We kind of look at branch ridge, branch collar. That's my big thing I preach. And we go through with them, okay, how much do we prune off and just some basic arboriculture. And we have them that brown card is their permit to prune trees. So if you do have neighborhood captains that maybe that don't have a brown card, or if they're not part of the neighborhood foresters, then please reach out, let me know, and I'd be happy to sit down and discuss with your with your volunteers what projects we're kind of moving on, what areas we looking. And I'm assuming we're kind of talking more of that clearance pruning. We just want to make sure that we're not damaging our trees, our canopy out there, which you can within proper cuts, are cutting like 90% of the tree, or even 25% is all you want to cut at one time. So you can extend over that threshold rather quickly.
Does Miss
So
if Miss Goodwin, like, okay, if she's the head of the group and she's kind of coordinated, she has a card. Everybody
yes.
with have interaction with the tree needs to have a card as well, or is it the leader of the group just needs the card and everybody under them is fine?
Yeah, we prefer everybody have the card, but if they're in training, we kind of say they're in training, then they're with that group, and there's several people probably within that group that already have a card. But the goal is to have everybody kind of re get this card. So we have what we don't want is somebody be in that group and then they spur off maybe the next weekend and prune a bunch of trees. And what this also does, it has a specific ID number. So when they prune a tree, they get on an app, they plug that in to the app saying, yes, I did clearance prune this tree. And then that goes into City Works. So we can see all the trees that we've cut throughout the city. So it's critical that we are able to report back to alderman or the mayor's office, who in the heck's pruning our trees down over here? And we can look that up on City Works and say, oh, it was so and so, and they're a neighborhood forester. Yes, they had a permit to do so. Everything's good. We do get a lot of people that prune trees just on their own, and we do get a lot of complaints from that. So we just want to make sure that we don't want to push volunteers away by no means, but we want to make sure we're treating our trees with, I guess, respect, or pruning them properly.
Yeah. Well, I don't want to take too much time up from the committee. I do understand what you all are saying. I think just in practice, and I'm very appreciative of forestry and parks, and I think you guys do excellent work, but I just have residents who are very into sustainability and very into greenery and are very proactive, and I'm really grateful for them because to be honest, sometimes because of staffing and short
Yeah.
capacity, if they were to just fully rely on parks and go through the proper channels in this case, I don't think we would have the thriving greenery that we do. And we have some beautiful greenery and beautiful landscape. And I know for a fact that they don't do it the proper way. And now I've learned I haven't been doing it the proper way. So this has been educational, for me. And I do understand the intent, but unfortunately, I don't think that the staffing is where it is. And I also just think, there are also my residents feel, understand that there are other areas that, just have such a lack of trees and may need a little bit more attention from a forestry in the parks. So, I think they kind of take it upon themselves to do that work so that the city has less of a burden and can focus on areas that don't have as much greenery and vegetation. And so, I totally do respect and understand the intent of this, but I just know it's not something that the majority of my residents would do. Even Miss Goodwin, like she has a formal organization and she does that work. So I think she would be able to contend with this and just do fine. But I'm thinking of just the many other people throughout my community, like including just like retired older folks
Yeah.
who just want to help out their community or go out and do it and not going to get the permit. And I really don't I don't want to tie their hands or restrict them from doing that because I do think that that type of proactiveness is a part of why the Seventh Ward has just some of the thriving greenery that we do.
I I would love, maybe we could talk offline and find some happy medium in there. So I think we can. I don't want to hold those folks up, by no means.
Would it
With
be
that.
possible for me to speak to that real quick? Um, is that okay?
Yeah, are
Let's see.
you answering
Yeah,
Alderwoman
I was just
Sanye?
Yeah, so in my experience, the on paper it sounds daunting, but the permit process is really more of a check-in with forestry, right? They want to make sure that we aren't planting things directly on top of utilities, or I have literally seen in the past year someone planted with their own money a beautiful tree like 2 feet directly in front of a stop sign, which is like, right, that's a safety issue. And they put in effort, it looks beautiful, but that's, it's a big issue. And so I have found that it's more it seems scarier than it is. Forestry has been very supportive, and I think the biggest thing is just getting the word out that forestry is willing to be a partner. And so my organization, we're really hoping to help support people with navigating that and sort of like, right, sharing the load of like disseminating those best practices that forestry wants everyone to abide by. Because, right, like it's great when people put in the effort, but if you do it wrong, you could be creating a safety hazard or planting trees that are just sort of doomed from the get-go. I've seen a lot of trees that like they get planted and they don't know better, so they leave it, like they leave things in place that like they just choke the tree and the tree is then dead within a few years, right? Like, so the more I would say it sounds way more arduous than it is. And our goal is to share that information and make it so that more and more people feel empowered to do that stuff responsibly. So, hope that helps.
Yeah, that totally helps. And I will circle back to the bill sponsor and maybe to you all to have some offline conversations to see about a middle line. I do understand the intent. I just think staffing capacity wise and based off what I know the practices that residents have, I don't want to put something in place or support something that might limit some of them who, and again, I understand different communities are different. I think the Seventh Ward is full of people who are very knowledgeable. They're very kind of familiar with these things. They email me and talk to me about the type of trees that should and shouldn't be planted. And we've had conversations with the commissioner together about, I've learned so much about it from them. So I know that they are, many of them who do this type of work are quite educated. And I'm just wondering if there might be a middle line to make sure that folks who are being proactive with good intentions are safe and covered. But I will yield my time and thank you, Chairwoman.
Thank you. Uh, uh, Alderwoman Jamie Cox, Antwi, you have any questions or comments? You're on mute if you're talking, Jamie.
Thank you so much. Yes, I was struggling to get off mute. Thank you, Madam Chairwoman, and thank you, Alderman Browning, for bringing this piece of legislation before us today. I first want to start by saying I echo Alderwoman Sonia's comment about how important and significant this bill is for our communities. I too have a number of neighborhood-based organizations, the Lafayette Square Conservancy, the Benton Park Lumberjacks, that are truly, truly passionate about making sure we're caring for our tree canopy. So I appreciate you bringing this bill, and I appreciate all those that have been working over the last year to get it to its place. I do want to start by saying, and actually the Alderwoman asked many of my questions about the actual implementation of helping to make sure that neighborhoods and forestry can partner together to help care for our tree canopy. So I won't belabor that conversation. My questions pertain mostly to first, the annual report that will come before the Health and Human Development Committee and the fee structure. So my first question is, I understand the annual report is going to be a new way our committee can get an update about our current tree inventory, how many trees have been planted, things of that nature. Is that something that, and one thing that I saw in the bill was that there's like a digital platform where we could see what trees are located where. Is that something that already exists, or will that be a new task that forestry has to maintain every year?
We had that information, so if you'd like that, it's just now we're kind of putting it in a format where we're presenting it to everyone. So
Okay.
if you like to know, I know we can print out addresses of where all the trees are planted, and I'm sure we could get with IT to kind of do a map as well. I'm not sure. I don't want to throw something on forestry to say we can do it. I'm pretty sure we got some individuals that can do that. But any kind of information you'd like to know, like number of trees pruned, removed, planted, stumps removed, stumps that are still out there, we have all that information in CityWorks. So it's just extra take get filing a putting together a report. Sorry.
Okay.
I'll add on to that really quickly. The like city tree inventory map that is already exists. It does need to be updated. It's I think it's I think like 10, a little over 10 years old now. And they update it as they go along, but like all it takes is, a couple different things getting missed. And so it's a little out of date now and needs to be have a comprehensive update. And that is part of the plan, but it does exist and it is continually updated as everyone does work every day. But it does need a full update. But a lot of that is being done currently on the tornado area. That is all being completely done by the recovery team. So that can be added into our city tree inventory map and have that area fully updated.
Okay. Thank you both for that comment. I just wanted to make sure, and certainly, Alan, our committee getting that information, I think would be helpful not only for us, but for the public to have on record and to see. I just don't want to put something in the text and in the bill that would be an additional piece of work that is an added burden to forestry, and that city tree inventory map was one line that I saw that I was just curious about. So Alderman Browning, I don't know how married you are to including that specifically in the legislation. I think that's something that we can certainly request updates for offline without having baked into the bill, because again, I don't want to add any added burden as we're talking about capacity within forestry to do something every year that they're already struggling to maintain.
Well, thank you for that. I think and we, yeah, we can certainly discuss more. I don't know that forestry is being put in a position where they don't think they can produce the report every year. I certainly think that the update to your committee is an important measure of transparency, but also a opportunity for education. And we have a lot of progress to make after the tornado. I feel like I'm understating that. We have a lot of work to do after the tornado, and it's also meant to be a way that the public can track exactly that progress that we're making and make sure that we are publicly discussing where trees are being planted so that we can also make sure that we're doing it equitably, and that we're not just planting trees in one part of the city, but neglecting another part. We know that a lack of tree cover in certain communities can lead to higher rates of asthma, more pollution, higher temperatures in the summer. I mean, just a lot of things that are adversely affecting people's health. And that's why I suspect the Health and Human Development Committee is overseeing the forestry division, is because it is absolutely linked to people's health. So um, I defer to Alan here, and just say that, if this is a burden for the forestry department, we certainly don't want it to be, but I do think it's an important measure of transparency.
Oh, yeah, Alderwoman, I don't feel like it's a huge burden, and I feel like giving that information out will help, as the alderman said, Alderman Browning, kind of direct us. Okay, how how do we want to manage this forest moving forward, and then how do we put funds in place to help do that? So I don't feel like it's a burden, and I'm a little bit I'm kind of excited about some support, kind of helping shape forestry for the future. So, but I appreciate the
I
the
was
thought
going to interject and
Yeah.
say,
about
I
taking over.
appreciate all, sorry, Alderwoman, I appreciate all three of your comments. And Alderwoman, I really appreciate you saying that about if it is a potential burden. It's easy to say, hey, this looks great, let's put it in there. But then when it comes to, well, who's measuring it, who's doing it, that's a different story. And Alan's asked for a systems analyst the last 2 to 3 years with budget, and we go there early next week. And he's been denied that. So I don't need Alan doing the work, but I really appreciate your comments and so respectful of staffing issues.
Yes, no, certainly. And I just want to be clear for the record. I am excited about getting the report, and I think it's something that our committee should get. What I was speaking about was specifically in the legislation, section 5 point B. It outlines everything that our committee will be expecting in the report, which is trees planted to date, new inventory, and section J is a link to the current city division canopy map And it was that section J that I was asking about. And I think what Caitlin mentioned is that's something that is not currently available. So if you all are comfortable and you're saying to us that's something that you can provide in addition to the report, then I fully respect that. And that's what I wanted to make sure. But again, I just don't want it, to Alderwoman Sonier's point, put something in the text that is not going to be something that's available to maintain. So it sounds like you all are comfortable with that list and what's currently listed, and you're able to deliver it to us. And so I will certainly look forward to seeing that when the time comes. My second question is related to the urban tree canopy fund that's going to be started by this legislation. So my understanding, and you folks can correct me if I'm wrong, is that once the fines and fees are being collected, we will establish a new fund that will help forestry be able to have additional resources to maintain the tree canopy. If you all could just quickly speak to what those funds would be going toward, I think that will just be helpful for everyone to hear.
Yep, I'll start out by saying this is very similar to the Vacant Building Initiative Fund that we set up for the building division. And it's the idea that fines and fees charged by departments can go back into the work that those departments are doing. It's especially important considering we are constantly struggling to have enough inspectors, enough people to go out and do that work. And so creating a fund source that says, hey, you go out and you do your job, you'll get more support to do that job. Alan or Greg, I defer to you to say kind of what you plan to use that fund for. I do think this is one of those things where we can really give our departments some teeth as well as actual support when it comes to doing their work.
Ultimately, we'd love to fund more tree planting and maybe even care for the trees where our greatest need is there. I do see, I'm a little nervous about that, trying to get that program started with the arborists and urban foresters we have on staff right now. But if once we get that kind of ball rolling, I'm assuming that this could also be used to fund positions to help um, help us manage that aspect of the bill. That if a neighbor calls and said, "Hey, somebody cut down a tree," okay, we'll send an arborist out there. But to do that work and then to follow through, it takes time and energy, and it takes a lot of hours from our urban foresters now, our arborists now, that are are strapped for time as we speak. So as we get that program growing, then hopefully it could pay for more positions where we could grow that even more and really do an investigative work on what happened to our tree, who damaged our tree, and we'll also need help from the public too as well. Ring cameras or whatever kind of information we can get from them.
Great.
So that's kind of off the top of my head. Greg, maybe you have
Yeah,
something.
no, I think great uses and great examples what it could be used for. It's certainly unprecedented in that we've been posed the question for years on different things. Your your fines or these don't go back to you as a department. No, they go into general revenue. We have an illegal dumping program. If you reach a conviction, the citizen gets $100. Folks thought that went back to forestry. It does not. It goes to general fund. So this is unprecedented that we could use those funds. I'd love to be an optimist and say we're going to have a large sum of money, but we've been told for 30, 40 years, forestry are some of the most difficult to collect on accounts. 18%, I believe, is the annual collection rate in this country, and folks have a difficult time paying forestry bills. Hopefully this is different, but fines are important to have as teeth. I just don't know how, I'd be speculating on how much this fund could get to at some point in the future, but at least it's there.
Okay. Thank you both for answering that question. I think certainly I understand, and as we talk about capacity and being able to get forestry the capacity that it needs, any tool and any amount would help. So I am very supportive of this piece of the legislation, and I hear you, uh, Director Greg, that we can't be too optimistic about what it will bring in, but something is better than nothing, and so I certainly think this is a good added piece. With that, Madam Chairwoman, that'll conclude my questions.
Thank you. And I think I appreciate the Alderwoman from the 8th and the Alderwoman from the 7th and their questions. But I think people, and Alan and I have had several conversations. One side, and the sponsor kind of brought it up. One side of the city is not on that page, and we're trying to educate that side. And it has nothing to do with the tornado. It's just people just don't understand the responsibilities of trees, caring for trees. And Alan, and I applaud Alan and his crew because they try to put trees in tree lines to help beautify areas. We literally have mobs of people that attack his staff. They don't want the trees. And so it's back to educating another side of the city that has not been involved or impacted, and they don't see the benefit. And I'm an advocate tree person, but as I always tease Alan and tell him, I don't want the Charlie Brown trees in my ward. And when I say Charlie Brown trees, if nobody waters them, they won't nourish and they dwindle and die. And I just think that's money that we're losing as a city. So I applaud Alan and his team for trying to start to educate that community, but I applaud Alderwoman Sonia and Alderwoman Cox Antwi because you have teams of people that are advocates for, greenery to flourish into the landscaping, because I'm always talking landscaping in my communities. And so this is just how serious this is. I had Alan and them plant trees on a block, and the people said they had never had trees over there. They have been asking. And then one of the seniors called and was in tears. She said one of the kids tore the tree down. And that's because of not being educated. They don't understand the importance of having these trees in their community. So, I mean, I think the bill is good. My focus was the LRA properties because they have the trees on their properties too. And so they're dangerous trees. They're not taking care of their trees. But I think the landscaping is beautiful for our city because in my parks, the trees are gorgeous, and I'm proud of those parks and what forestry and them have done. But I just think in my community, when you cross over, you all need to flood my community and educate those people on the importance of caring for trees, sustaining the trees, and supporting forestry. So I don't, Rosalind, you had I know this is not Rosalind. Somebody has their hand up. I don't know who it is. I'm
Alan.
lost on people now.
Yeah, I see. I'm under Rosalind. I was wondering if
I
everybody.
was like, it's not Rosalind, but whoever had their hand up, they can.
I I was So we did put in it. I know I'm always the optimistic, alderwoman. You need more trees and they're going to grow and all this stuff. We have put in four urban foresters to go out there, two teams to water and care, not just water. Yes, water is the most critical thing, but be out there and make a presence, not just when we plant, but we're going to be there hopefully weekly, bi-weekly basis, and we need to grow that program. And then people can ask us questions, and then they see us out there watering that tree, remulching the tree, and then in the wintertime, no, they're not done. They're going to go back and they're going to structurally prune every tree that we plant. And if they finish that, then they can move on to structurally pruning our small trees. So we don't have these split leaders 4 feet off the ground that become big hazardous trees. So I think the care afterwards, I'm hopeful that will help us in in wards like Alderwoman Boyd. So I just want to make that statement.
Okay, now did a Rosalind, was it really Rosalind that had her hand up, or was it somebody else that had her hand up?
I think it was just me.
Okay, all right, all right. All right. So, Mr. Sponsor, do you want to add anything to it?
I'll just say I think we have some folks from the public here today, including some of the organizations who do such a wonderful job caring for our trees in coordination with the forestry division. Talking about getting this card that certifies you, I'm realizing I need to go get one of those. And Alderwoman Sonia, if you'd like to go get one too, I'd love to go with you because I think it would be great for us to show like lead by example. Um, I think it's really important to recognize the organizations who do this work too, because as we know, our city staff is always understaffed, underpaid, and yet we also have these wonderful volunteers who go out and do the work. So at this time, I'd like to hear from the public if they'd like to speak.
So, Rosalind, do we have any comments, any public comments?
Um, we have, there's no one on the other side with their hand raised. However, there are some people on this side who I moved over who had their hand raised earlier.
Okay, so we could, I see Aaron. I see Aaron and I see Elsie, Meredith and Aaron. And those three. Is that what we have? Three,
Four.
four. Okay. All right. So Aaron, did you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. Thank you for this bill. I'm generally in support of it, and I think some of my questions were already brought up by other people, things that I didn't know, so I'm glad that those were brought up as well. One thing I did hear about was about there would be fines that if people like cut down trees whenever they didn't have the authority to do that. I was just wondering if that kind of language would also apply to developers on plots of land where like we have great big trees that are 40, 50, 60 years old, but instead they want to cut that tree down in order to build a gas station, which is what could happen here in the fourth ward. We could have like probably 20, 25 trees coming down to build a QT gas station. And so I'm greatly concerned about choosing one kind of development, which is purely for economical gain over what the trees have to offer long term instead of trying to save some of those trees in the long run and building around them like some people do in communities. And I wanted to just echo a couple other comments that regarding the education factor, which I know has been brought up as just a conversation here. Using more of your Facebook group for Parks, Rec, and Forestry. That group has very low followers, and you guys follow very few people. And you could use that as a way to get out how to take care of trees in the neighborhood. And it starts with building up those followers, so reaching out to groups and following them. And then whenever you post something monthly about how to take care of a tree or what neighborhood you're working in, you can get that out to the public in a really great way. I also want to recommend the tags on the trees become something more personal that you put into a mailbox about how to take care of a tree. We do that in the fourth ward. We went around to all the trees the past 2 years that got new street trees, and we put.
Mr. Aaron, that's your time.
Okay. Thank you very much. I knew I was going to go over. Thank you.
Thank you for your compassion.
I just had a couple quick comments. Aaron, I don't think we've ever met in person, but I definitely have exchanged emails with you, and I commend you as well for all you do out in the community in your neighborhood, and probably more than your neighborhood. Just a couple quick comments. All development issues in terms of tree removals or tree plantings are supposed to be vetted through by the forestry division and to the forest. Sometimes we find out about things later. It's ideal when we find out about them in advance. So we do, Alan and his team will vet those. In regard to, you mentioned Facebook, correct? Yeah, so we have a public information officer. It's a split position between street department and our department. Christine Portel. She's been here less than a year. So I will have Alan or myself talk to her about that. That'd be great to establish more relationships, if you will, and helpful information back and forth. And very helpful. And I'm trying to remember your third point, but I'll hand it off to Alan if he has any comments. Thank you for being on the call.
Thank you.
The only thing Aaron, hey, good to see you.
Hey.
Uh, the we used to put door hangers on the knobs of the doors where the tree was, but then we realized this tree is for the whole neighborhood. And if we get somebody that wants to water the tree that lives 2 or 3 houses down, then yeah, help us maintain this tree. It's not just the tree in front of that person's house. So making it more personal, maybe I can, we could talk offline and we could come up with something. I mean, we're always
I,
looking for ways to improve. So
I have something to give you. So
awesome. Look forward.
All right. Thank you again, Aaron. Uh, Elsie,
Good morning. My name's Elise Schaefer. I'm a sixth ward
I'm
resident.
sorry.
Oh, it's all good. I've gotten different interpretations than Elsie even. So, but it's Elise, and I'm a sixth ward resident, but I'm also a policy coordinator with Missouri Coalition for the Environment. I just wanted to voice my support for the bill as it expands the Forestry Division's capacity to care for and expand the urban tree canopy because MCE recognizes our urban tree canopy as a vital way to combat extreme urban heat. If you don't already know, heat is the deadliest weather event in the country, and St. Louis is expected to experience a doubling in the number of 100-degree days per summer over the next 30 years. So that would result in 2 months per summer over 100 degrees. And while St. Louis is far from alone in facing this increase, temperatures in the city are demonstrably worse than those in surrounding suburban and rural areas, in part due to our disparity in tree coverage. So, with that, I just want to echo. I think the alderman and Caitlin did a great job explaining the benefits of trees. Trees can reduce temperatures by up to 9 degrees in certain conditions. A young, healthy tree can have the equivalent of cooling the same as 10 room-sized air conditioners operating for 20 hours. So this is going to reduce our energy use and anything we can do to help expand and protect our urban tree canopy is something that MCE greatly supports. So we respectfully urge the committee to pass Board Bill 156. Thanks so much for your time.
Thank you so much, Elise. Next we have Aaron. Did I pronounce it
Aaron
right,
spoke
Aaron?
on.
You
Oh,
already spoke.
oh, Aaron
No,
Goodwin.
I'm another Aaron.
Okay. All
Hi.
right.
Yeah, thanks. Erin Godwin, Executive Director of St. Louis Neighborhood Foresters. I am very much in support of the board bill. I was grateful to be allowed to have some input on its drafting. I think there's obviously more ambitious forestry ordinances in other places in the country. However, right, a lot of those have better funding sources, and this will be a huge help in starting to build up the capacity of forestry. And I think so having the Urban Tree Canopy Management Fund is going to make a lot more sense for forestry to commit the significant manpower necessary to enforce those fines, and even just clarifying things like in the definition, simplifying the definition of the critical root zone so that that is a more enforceable standard. I think there's a lot of really very sensible improvements here, and I'm very excited too about the annual forestry memo being an opportunity to increase public awareness of the progress and the challenges that forestry faces, and hopefully create, more opportunity for people to get involved in that, especially right through volunteer activity in partnership with the Forestry Division. So I am very excited to see how this plays out in future and the impact that it makes. So thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Meredith?
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Meredith Perkins. I'm a Ward 6 resident, and I also work with Forest Relief of Missouri. And we are really fortunate to be working with such a great forestry program with the city of St. Louis. And Elise mentioned a lot of the benefits of trees, so I won't jump into that, but I applaud all of the stats that she put out there to educate folks on really the value. But I do also want to point out that in this time, the city has the staff capacity and the arborists and the excellent kind of coordination through Commissioner Jankowski to really put this ordinance into practice, which gives me a lot of optimism that this is something that they helped renovate and kind of edit. They put it through a lot of partners review. And I really feel like the changes that are made are going to be changes that can be implemented really positively. And hearing his excitement around actually putting the report together and being accountable for this, I think is really exciting. I do want to also speak to Alderman Boyd's commitment and interest in education and want to acknowledge that forest relief, neighborhood foresters, a lot of the folks on this call are also committed to supporting the education and outreach components. To the point about the brown cards, we want to support the forestry program, training, helping people get access to those so we can help diffuse that burden across the city with some of the partnerships. And just a note that the current federal funding through the IRA, the city was really thoughtful in putting engagement into that funding structure. So there is effort underway right now to continue getting that excitement and connection to helping people understand all of those values and benefits to the city trees that that we're trying to invest. So thank you all for your time and your commitment to consideration of this bill. We support it.
Thank you so much. And I think that's all, isn't it, Roz?
Yes, that's it.
Okay. All right. So on that, Alderman Browning, would you like to close?
Yes, thank you, Chairwoman. I just again want to echo my thanks to the Forestry Division, to the Parks Department, to Caitlin Smith, especially for her work on this, and to all the organizations that we engaged and were a part of helping draft this bill. Everyone's passion for this subject came out so clearly, and I just want to speak from my own personal experience of sitting in and participating in these meetings that we, I think, sometimes don't get to put faces to titles in our city, whether it's people who work in refuse or people who work in forestry. But when we do that, we realize the passion that these people have for this subject, the care and the love they have for what they do every day. And I just saw that working with these folks that it's not just a job to them. It really is their life. And I think that speaks to the just the quality of the city employees that we have, and the job that they're trying to do to make this city a better place for everyone who lives in it, including themselves, because a lot of them live here as well. So I'm hoping this bill can be a part of that, helping forestry not only do best practices, but also have the support they need to restore our tree canopy after this disaster, but also build a solid foundation so that every community can deserve that healthy environment to live in. And with that, I just ask for your favorable consideration and thank you all for the robust discussion today. I think this is exactly what committees should be doing. So it was really nice to have that discussion. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Alderman, Mr. Sponsor. Thank you, Alderman Browning. We appreciate you bringing the bill to our committee, and we are honored because we all that sit on this committee believe in environmental protection for our communities, and it's going to enhance the livelihoods of our residents. So on that note, I'll ask for a vote on Board Bill 156.
I move
I ask
to
for
pass
motion.
Board Bill 156 with the due pass recommendation.
Second.
Roll call.
Alderwoman Tyus, Alderman Odenberg, Alderwoman Saunier, Alderwoman Cox Antwi,
Aye.
Chair Boyd,
Aye.
Alderwoman Tyus, Vice Chair Odenberg. We have 3 aye votes.
Thank you. Congratulations, Alderman Browning. Your bill has passed. Good job, Caitlin. Next, we're had a little change in our agenda. So, committee members, we'll have item number 1, the mayor's appointment to Mental Health Board, Dr. Ivana Burkett and Andre Blaylock. Oh, Alderwoman Hubbard, you still here? Okay. Yeah, okay, thank you. I'm sorry. Uh, we have Alderwoman Hubbard that is presenting them to our committee.
Thank you. I really appreciate you making this quick pivot for us, Madam Chairwoman. We know that the volunteerism and the service that people sign up for when they want to serve the city this way, we want to encourage any way we can. And so while we did miss Miss Blaylock, she was on for the first hour. I reached out to my colleagues here on the committee, asked them if they had any specific questions for her. This is her second time showing up to the committee to try to speak. And she did have to run off, but I'm happy to see that we do still have Dr. Burkett. So I'll go ahead and ask you to hear from Dr. Burkett first, and then actually hoping to have you approve both of them, even in Ms. Blaylock's absence. Ms. Burkett, feel free to introduce yourself.
Sure. And I'm sorry, you all. I have clients like waiting on me soon. So
Yeah.
but anyway,
Yeah.
my name is Ivana Burkett. I am a dual certified psychiatric and mental health nurse practitioner with I have a doctorate in leadership. And I am interested in serving the board is just to bring my expertise. I work in substance abuse currently. I've worked in substance abuse, with substance abuse clients and unhoused clients for about 98% of my clients were unhoused. And so I just have I have a huge love I have to enjoy. I actually have to enjoy the work that I do in order to do the work. And so my expertise in substance abuse, working with, like I said, unhoused clients. I work with children, work with adults, adolescents. I've worked in internal medicine, so I have also that, bringing that piece in as well. So I'm just interested in the serving on the committee and helping to just improve the mental health of the city residents, and just bringing any education or and me also learning from anyone that I can learn from as well, but just bringing my expertise and taking in any information and that again, just learning. I'm interested in learning, I'm interested in helping, and like I said, providing the information that I have, and with my education, providing any education or anything that I can bring to the board to help improve the mental health of the city residents.
Thank you so much.
So does I'll ask committee members, do they have any questions for her, Alderwoman Saunier?
I don't have any questions, Ms. Burkett, but I do sincerely thank you for your service. I am such a strong advocate for mental health, and I think especially for culturally competent mental health. And there's certainly not enough mental health providers, and certainly not Black mental health providers. And so I look forward to supporting your nomination today. And I sincerely thank you for your service to our city.
Thank you.
Alderwoman Cox Antwi.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Ms. Burkett, I echo Alderwoman Saunier's comments, and thank you for being here today and for introducing yourself to us and our community. Your expertise sounds like it will be a huge asset to the Mental Health Board, so I thank you for raising your hand and being willing to serve.
Thank you. You're welcome.
And I echo everything they said, and thank you. Let me first say thank you for your patience, because we kind of went a little longer than I anticipated. So I thank you for your patience and waiting, and tell your clients we appreciate their patience. So on that note, I'll ask for a vote for accepting Ms. Burkett on the Mental Health Board.
So moved.
She's saying second, but she
on second. I'm sorry, I couldn't get off mute. I'm sorry.
Previous role.
Oh, objection, because I voted present on previous role.
Okay. So roll call.
Alderwoman Tyus, Vice Chair Oldenburg, Alderwoman Saunier.
Aye.
Alderwoman Cox Antwi.
Aye.
Alderwoman Boyd.
Aye.
Alderwoman Tyus. Vice Chair Oldenburg, we have 3 aye votes.
Congratulations, Ms. Burkett. You have been accepted and voted in, and so we will take that over to the full board.
Okay.
Alderwoman Hubbard, did you want to speak on the other candidate?
Yes, ma'am. And again, I want to echo that as well. Thank you, Dr. Burkett, for your patience this morning and for your willingness to serve this unique way. And please let me know or reach out if there's anything I can do to help support you as you move and transition onto the mental health board.
Okay. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Have a good week.
You too. Bye-bye.
I really appreciate this, you all. And then to my other mayoral appointee, Ms. Blaylock, again, she did have to step out, and this was her second time showing up. She had gotten a call, I think she said last night, to be on here and tried to move some stuff around. So I did reach out to my colleagues. For the public, you know, their resumes are always in the drive. It's including their contact information. I reached out to my colleagues and said if they had any questions for her while she was still on, that they could put them in the chat so that she could address them. She is very willing and ready to serve. And so I'm asking if we make this exception, not in her presence, but knowing her, being able to access her background, that we pass her as well to the full board, the mayor's appointment of Andrea Blaylock to the mental health board.
Okay, any objections? Questions? Could we get a motion to accept her?
I don't have
You
any.
talking?
Yes.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to just echo that the Alderwoman did send a text to ask us, and just wondered if on the record she should just speak to some of her background and experience, since she's not here to put that on the record.
Okay.
I'll just speak to her key cultural talents and skills that she noted in her resume to Mayor Spencer when she applied for this role were cultural strategy and activation, talent management and succession planning, employee listening and employee value propositions, leadership development, well-being, which we know is key for the mental health board, strategy and execution, diversity, equity, inclusion, leadership, policy development and employee relations, training, design and delivery, communications, planning and deliverables. And we know here from her example of being on this meeting now twice, that her experience as being a licensed clinical social worker, a certified employee assistant professional in substance abuse professional, her all of that speaks to why she would show up again the way she has twice trying to be on here. And I asked her, she actually was saying, should I reschedule? And I said, no, let me ask, because when you are violent, you know, the way they show up in this unique way to serve the city, again, I just want to be able to encourage them in any way they can. And for some people, this is not when the mental health board meetings, or for anybody that's thinking this is a challenge for her to be on this meeting, that she wouldn't be on that. This is not the time. But this is just an opportunity for our colleagues, even though their resumes are in the drive, their contact information we have, we're able to ask any questions. This is just an opportunity for us to bring them another step in before the board and before the public. She's very well renowned in the community. And, you know, I can go on about her resume, but again, I just really think that in this case, we should support moving her appointment to the full board so that she can go ahead and get to the work that she so wishes to serve in.
Thank you. That concludes my questions. I just wanted that on the record. I found her resume very impressive and look forward to support.
Yes, we got some good ones. Well, Mayor Spencer, thank you. We do need to make sure the public knows that we don't pick these. Mayor Spencer's office picks these, and then they send them to the respective alderperson, these appointees alderpersons, and we carry them. So it's just an honor to even be able to hold this step, right, and be able to do it this way to support them in this service to the city.
Alderwoman and Cox Antwi.
Thank you, Chairwoman, and thank you, Alderwoman Clark Hubbard. I am seeing your message now to us. I know we were having a very robust discussion about the forestry bill, so I do apologize, but I am glad to hear that she was able to be on and that she showed up twice to be on to introduce herself to us. And I certainly trust you in your judgment, and I know you know your community members well. So I appreciate you moving this forward and speaking in her absence at this time. And I'm certainly happy to support you and support her, knowing the work that she's done and the information that we have on file about her.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so I'll ask for a motion to accept Ivana Burkett and Andre Blaylock as mayor appointments for the Mental Health Board.
So moved.
Second, previous role.
Okay, congratulations, Alderwoman Hubbard. You can let the candidates know they were both voted in.
Thank you all so much. Thank you.
You're welcome.
You're welcome.
And so next we have Alderwoman Schweitzer. Thank you for your patience, Alderwoman Schweitzer. I had just told our clerk our committee is hopping today for some reason. We're popular.
Lots going on.
So you have board resolution 240.
Thank you. Madam Chairwoman and members of the committee. Today I have before you Resolution 240, which is supporting the efforts to recognize the city of St. Louis as a bird city. And when this came up on the floor last week, or 2 weeks ago, a lot of aldermen came up to me and asked, what does that mean? And what that means is that it would recognize St. Louis as a place that supports the birds who live here and the birds that migrate through here. That looks like making sure that there is a collaborative and conservation focused effort both with our nonprofit partners and with the city of St. Louis. This also means that the endorsement of a bird city resolution will demonstrate municipal support for the application to be part of the Bird City application that some nonprofit groups have out, which is really important for being able to receive funding for these organizations that are doing this conservation work. To speak on it better than I can, Matt Barton of the St. Louis Audubon Society is here with a short presentation for the committee. And then both of us, I think, would be ready to take questions. So Madam Chairwoman, if Mr. Barton would be able to share his screen and present, I think that would be a great next step.
And I think the clerk did pull it up. Did you have it up?
Yeah, he's going to share his screen.
Okay, so go ahead.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barton.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me just pull up my presentation here and we'll get that going for everyone. All right, let's see. All right, can everybody see my presentation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. All right, so as Alderwoman Schweitzer said, my name is Matt Barton. I'm the Urban Conservation Specialist with St. Louis Audubon Society. And I'm here a bit today to talk about some of our conservation work in St. Louis and then also our application for Bird City, Missouri. So really quickly, I think it's important to establish, why do birds matter and why do we care? And birds play a lot of important roles in our world. They play a lot of important roles in our ecosystems. They are pollinators. They help to control other animal populations like insects and small mammals. They also help to remove waste from our ecosystems, helping to ensure that then the ecosystem is healthy and reducing pathogens. And they also act as habitat creators, not only for other birds, but other animals as well. There's also a large economic impact of birding. In 2022, birders spent approximately $107 billion in the United States on birding-related expenditures. That's things like trips, equipment, and then supporting the local economies where they're traveling. And then there's also the health impact. There's a lot of really positive impacts that have been shown and associated with birding, including reducing blood pressure, anxiety, and stress levels. And a 2017 study published in Bioscience also showed that there was a lot of positive impact in urban settings when there was more bird prevalence. It had a lot of those positive health impacts. And in St. Louis, we sit in a pretty important area. We're right here in the middle of the Mississippi Flyway, just south of the Mississippi and Missouri River confluence. And this area is very important for migratory birds. Around 60% of our North American songbird species, 40% of our waterfowl species are using this flyway, and that's representing over 325 species of bird. And research has shown that St. Louis is a relatively dangerous place for migrating birds. In 2019, the Cornell Lab of Ornithology did a study where they looked at light pollution levels, geography, and also bird migration activity, which you can see represented here on the right. And the areas with the brighter colors are showing higher levels of bird migration activity. The circles are indicating the radar stations. And when they reviewed the data, they found that St. Louis is the fifth most dangerous city for birds during spring migration and the sixth in the fall. But with our important position within the Mississippi Flyway, there's a lot of really great conservation work that's happening in St. Louis, and we've been recognized for that. St. Louis is a member of the Urban Bird Treaty Program, which is administered by the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service. That is a program that's for geared towards cities with metropolitan areas of 100,000 or more. So really trying to engage, the urban centers across the country. And as part of this program, local partners work together to achieve the three broad goals of conserving urban bird habitats, reducing urban hazards, and then engaging communities, importantly, in bird-related education. So St. Louis originally received its designation in 2003 and was one of the very first cities to receive that designation. The group did go dormant, but it was in 2023 we did reform a group, which you can see our current working group on the right here, the different organizations. And we've successfully received and renewed our status since 2023. I'm happy to report that was recently in December 2025 renewed again. And our partner group is doing a lot of great work individually and then collaboratively to meet these metrics of the program. What we're here to talk about a bit today is Bird City Network, which is another program overseen by the American Bird Conservancy. So as part of this program, each individual state works with the American Bird Conservancy to develop a program. Once the state has a program, it's open to all communities in that state, regardless of their population. So that's one way that it differs from Urban Bird Treaty. But similar to Urban Bird Treaty, communities are doing work around increasing habitat, reducing threats, engaging people in the community, and promoting sustainability. Here's just a little organizational chart that kind of gives an idea of, how everything is structured. So the state programs work with American Bird Conservancy and the Bird City Network to establish, what parameters and qualifications do the communities need to do in order to receive this Bird City designation. In 2004, a statewide group was formed to start looking into bringing this program to the state of Missouri. Our program was officially launched in 2025, and to that end, we're seeking pilot communities statewide. With that being said, we would in St. Louis like to go ahead and apply for this Urban Bird Treaty, or pardon me, this Bird City, Missouri designation. We have a working group and reporting group formed already, and that's our Urban Bird Treaty group, which you saw in the previous slides. We think that that's very practical because a lot of the work that we're doing to satisfy Urban Bird Treaty requirements will also satisfy the requirements for Bird City, Missouri. And our Urban Bird Treaty group already works on an annual report for the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, which we can also then not have to duplicate those efforts and use a lot of that base work for our annual reporting to Bird City, Missouri. St. Louis does currently have an application in place. Really, the final thing that we need is approval from the city and buy-in. So that's why we're here discussing the resolution. And St. Louis is in a pretty unique position in the sense that we have the possibility to become the first city in the country with dual Urban Bird Treaty and Bird City Network designation. So I know there's a lot of excitement at the respective programs about having a city that would be overlapping in both. Just broadly kind of talking about some of the work in St. Louis that we're doing. I manage the Bird Safe St. Louis program for St. Louis Audubon Society with the goal of establishing long-term community relationships that support bird safe practices and reduce bird fatalities in the St. Louis region. As part of that work, I organize and train a group of collision monitors, and we go out in the spring and fall in downtown St. Louis looking for collisions with infrastructure. And that project originally began in fall of 2020. And sadly, we are seeing a lot of data, collecting a lot of data that backs up that study from Cornell Lab of Ornithology from fall of 2020 to fall of 2025, noting that we did not do monitoring in fall of 2022. We've recorded almost 1,800 observations in downtown St. Louis, and that's accounting for 97 species of birds, which you can see the most frequently encountered here. There's a lot more information about, what we're finding in our collision monitoring. I can't get into that all today, but I'd encourage you all to take a look at our 2025 annual report, just showing, what we've encountered, and it goes into much greater detail. But aside from, doing the citizen science and collecting that kind of data through monitoring, we're really, as a program, trying to proactively get out into the community. We really believe that, people need to be educated so that they can take the appropriate steps and help, with bird conservation efforts. So we're doing that through multiple ways, such as education, collaborating with our different partner organizations, stewardship of important urban bird areas like O'Fallon Park Lake, Rookery, and then also engaging with property managers and other stakeholders in the city. So I just really like to conclude here with just kind of some broad, conversation on how can we improve our conditions. So a big thing is addressing light pollution. Light pollution draws birds into populated centers where they have risks of having collision and dying. So in the Midwest here, we have an amazing program called Lights Out Heartland. I'm happy to share more about that after the meeting. But essentially, we ask that buildings turn off their non-essential lighting during peak migration in the spring and the fall. You all might be familiar with some of this effort of this program because this is the effort through which every May and September the lights are turned off at the Arch at the Gateway Arch National Park. We have a lot of really great participants in the program already, but we'd love to see more. And this is really a situation where more is better. So it'd be great to see, if some of our municipal buildings could start to, get involved with the program and help with that messaging and encourage other, building owners in St. Louis to do the same. There's a lot of really exciting work, going on in other cities as well, like New York City, where they're doing, doing uplighting on infrastructure and turning that out for migration. So if we wanted to think something really big, it'd be cool to see something like that maybe at the Musial Bridge. The other thing that we can do to reduce mortality is addressing glass concerns. So we can use on locations that we know that there are a lot of issues with bird collisions, we can use collision deterrent markers like you see here on the right. And those help birds to realize that there is a barrier there and they're highly effective at reducing collisions. There's a really exciting project that's going to be taking place this spring in St. Louis. I don't want to get ahead of that, but there's, going to be a large project undertaking doing some retroactive treatment on a well-known building in St. Louis. That we're also then, how could we implement that in, our practices? In the instance where maybe the city is, building some new infrastructure, that's a great time where we can, look at using bird safe building materials like bird safe glass. Also, whenever we're doing retroactive, renovations on buildings, it's another good time where we can, make those right material choices and really have a profound impact on the safety of birds in the area. But with that being said, I really do want to thank you all for your time. I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have now. And then I've included my email here as well in case, we're St. Louis Audubon Society is a resource for everyone. And we're happy to provide guidance and insight and expertise wherever we can. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Borden. We appreciate it. That was very informative. And I agree because all of a sudden I'm hearing birds in my community that I never heard before. I heard a woodpecker and I haven't heard that in years. So I'm starting to hear birds that are coming back to our community. So that's good.
Yeah.
So on that note, I'll ask any of our committee members if they have any questions. Alderwoman Sonia.
Um, Thank you. I don't have any questions. This is just another weird thing that me and Alderwoman Schweitzer share an interest in. I'm actually really excited about us doing this and becoming a bird city. Okay, shout out to the birds, shout out to the migration. There's a lot of things going on with our environment, and I definitely have seen other cities do this, and I'm actually just really, really excited about it. Like really, really excited. So I don't have any questions. I more so have a comment that I actually learned a lot about this when we were working with the Planning Commission on data center regulations and things, because it's something that I saw come up in a lot of my research about people exploring the relationship that exists between just birds and their migration patterns and some of the potential economic and of the environmental impacts that data centers could have. And so when I saw this, I was like, this really makes sense. And I wonder if Alderwoman Schweitzer saw this come up because she's on the Planning Commission too in the discussions. So I'm really looking forward to supporting this today. And I thank you all for the work and leadership on this and would actually like to be added as co-sponsor.
So noted.
Okay, Alderwoman Jamie Cox Antwi.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I also don't have any questions. Matt, your presentation was extremely informative to me. It actually took me back to my elementary school days. I had an avid birder fourth grade teacher that used to take us to go bird watching. And so seeing some of the things that you were mentioning about the light pollution and the effects on birds just reminded me of some of those lessons. And so it truly is so important. And I'm glad that you were able to make this presentation so that the public could have some of those pieces of information on record for them. So again, I thank you for coming. I think this would be a really great opportunity, and I'm happy to support this resolution so that we could have another first in St. Louis history. I love it when our city makes history. And so I think having that dual designation, as you mentioned, would be an extremely cool opportunity for us. So with that, thank you again for being here and for the presentation. I really appreciated it.
Yeah, thank you all. And it just all kind of fell very nicely that, there was the conversation with Forestry together today, because they're doing some really great work, and their work also then helps to support our urban bird population. So they're doing some great work. And also, I
And
would encourage you all to, come out and go on a bird walk with us sometime. We do free bird walks all around the metropolitan area. So it'd be great, if there's some interest, I'd be happy to take any of the aldermanic board out on a bird walk sometime.
And I too ditto what my colleagues say, and I think this was great. I think I like the part, and you must have heard me when I was talking earlier about educating. I like the part about you all really are trying to educate people. And so that's my thing. If we can educate people more in regards to the environment, I think it will help us in regards to saving our earth as a whole. So I think this plays another part. And it's good to be the first is something positive for St. Louis, because we always first with the crazy. So I'm
Thank you.
glad we're first with positive stuff. So on that note, I'll ask for a motion
Oh,
to
Madam Chairwoman, do
uh-huh.
you mind if I
I'm
close?
sorry.
That's okay.
Sorry.
That's okay. I wanted to
Okay, so
comment
our
on a few things that
sponsor,
were
you
said.
want to close?
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I'm really excited that you're excited to take a motion. But I just want to thank Matt Barton for being here and thank all of you for listening to the presentation and being so excited. Some of the things that you all said really speak to this resolution about the connections that we have to nature, to birds, Alderman or Chairwoman Boyd talking about hearing the sounds and how that kind of brings back a memory and a sense of place in a community, which I think is such an important thing. And Alderman Cox Antwi talking about, her childhood time learning about birds, and Alderman Sanye talking about how much she cares about this issue. It's so interesting when you start talking about birds because so many people will say that kind of thing to you. And I think being able to speak for them, they can't attend this committee meeting. So when we're able to share those things, I think that's really positive as well. Um, the two things I wanted to point out specifically that Mr. Barton brought up in his presentation, I think are things that we as aldermen could take a more active role in doing. One of those things is what he talked about around glass. 1520 Market Street, an employee there actually reached out to me earlier this week when he saw the resolution and said, you know, we need this kind of glass at 1520 Market Street, or we need the treatment because we see birds crashing into the building and unfortunately not making it. So that's something that the city could think about doing a project on, as well as our streetlights. Recently, the city of St. Louis updated its streetlights to a Kelvin temperature that's higher than they were before, which is why they have that kind of more blue-white light rather than that kind of orange-warm light. And the more orange warm lights the city has as our street lights, the safer birds are when they're migrating because they don't have that issue. I'll actually share a map, a photograph that was taken aerially of the city of St. Louis after that LED change was made, and the difference between the city of St. Louis and surrounding areas in how bright our city is. You know, bright being meaning the blue white light as opposed to that orange warm light, which is what we ideally would want our streetlights to carry both for human health and for bird health. Dark skies, as mentioned in this resolution, I would love to have them come to this committee and talk about what they do and why it's important to have a dark sky city. And so that's something that, you know, with how excited everyone is about this, I thought maybe people wouldn't want to talk about that, but now I feel like people would. So I feel really happy and grateful for this time today. And just thank you again. And I do appreciate those who've added themselves as co-sponsors. And I would appreciate a do pass recommendation. Thank you so much, Chairwoman, for letting me close.
You are very welcome. Thank you for slowing me down. We were all excited about the resolution. And so I would like to be added as a co-sponsor also.
Can I make a
So
motion?
noted.
Bank?
Second.
Okay, my committee already made the move, so it's been embanked. So we appreciate it. And so
So we have previous role on that embankment.
Previous row.
so did we have any speakers or public comment in regards to this resolution?
We have none.
Okay, I was moving pretty fast and we were moving past all of that. Okay, so Alderwoman Schweitzer, your resolution was embanked, and congratulations, Mr. Borden. We look forward to connecting with you in the.
Oh, we still
Yes,
We
need
need to make a motion on the board bill, I mean, on the
yes.
resolution.
I thought we had did that.
We
Okay.
embanked it. We didn't make we didn't. We didn't.
Okay, so could we make a motion to accept resolution? Uh, resolution 240.
I make a motion that we pass resolution 240 with the do pass recommendation.
Second. And previous role.
Okay, now resolution 240 has been voted and accepted with previous role for Alderwoman Schweitzer.
Thank you so much.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Congratulations.
Thank you all.
All right, the last one I have, Alderwoman Sonia, would you take the seat because I have to do Board Bill 148?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chairwoman, you are recognized to speak to Board Bill 148.
Madam Clerk, could you read the introduction, please?
Board Bill 148, introduced by Alderwoman Pamela Boyd. An ordinance recommended by the Board of Estimate and Apportionment appropriate to the Department of Health $1,363,875.78 in funds received by the City of St. Louis pursuant to the National Opioid Settlement Agreements, authorizes the expenditure of such funds to the extent received, and contains an emergency clause.
Thank you. So before you is Board Bill 148, and I'm excited because the Health Department has received a funds from the opioid settlement. So that's a good thing. And so that's some dollars to help the Health Department to do the work in regards to the issues that we have within our city. They have worked hard to ensure that we get the services out. And one of them is in regards to mental health, and drug abuse. And so on that note, I'll ask for your favorable consideration for Board Bill 148.
Thank you, Chairwoman. Do you have any speakers or anyone from the department here?
No, today they didn't pop up. Alderwoman Sonia, they have been tracking with me the whole time. I guess they said, we got this. It's okay this time.
Okay, well then we will go through the committee. Alderwoman Cox Antwi.
Sorry, I'm really struggling with mute today. Thank you, Alderwoman, for bringing this forward. I don't have any questions, and I understand, the importance and significance of this issue, so I appreciate you bringing it before the committee.
Thank you.
Thank you. I think we're the only ones on the call from the committee. So I don't have any, I'm very supportive of this legislation. We obviously have an opioid crisis. I'm glad we're getting funds to help. I just wondered if you could speak to Alderwoman how the health department plans to specifically implement this. Will it be through the Behavioral Health Bureau, or, what will it look like? How will they be using the funds? I know it's listed as a number of substance use treatment things, but I'm just curious of what that would look like on the ground.
Well, the good thing about it is they are putting dollars into the behavior health and the mental health. And so they have been really increasing, doing outreach in regards to those, because they do understand that behavior and mental health plays a role in the drug addiction. And so they have told me that they're hiring people to play a role to do that. So they're adding staff so they can make sure that they can service our city.
Excellent. Thank you. I would just like to make a motion to embank. And I saw a word language.
I think she said.
Second. I'm just gonna stay off mute. I'm struggling. I'm sorry.
Jerk off a previous row.
Previous row.
And here are no objections. We have embanked. And with that, I would like to do a preview. Oh, sorry, Madam Chairwoman, you're recognized to close.
Thank you, committee and guests that are here. And I ask for favorable consideration for Board Bill 148.
I move that we pass Board Bill 148 with the due pass recommendation.
Second, previous row.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. All right. Now I think we have completed it. Do we have excuse members, Alderwoman Tyus, Alderman Oldenburg? Does anyone have any announcements? And so we acknowledge any written testimony. The announcement it's not an announcement, it's a question for the committee, and it's just for you all to think about. I have been really thinking hard about the whole from COVID to the tornado. And I think as a city, we are in an environmental crisis. And so I think that I would like for you all to think about us to have a town hall to focus on how these issues have impacted the health of our community and what we need to do to work with rebuilding and helping us residents within the community. So it was just something that's been really laying on my heart because, as Alderman Browning said earlier, we have the highest rate of asthma within our community. And so, ironically, we have the highest in North Quarter, we have the highest number of cancer cases within our community. So I just wanted to put that on the table for the Health and Human Development Committee to see if we could look at sponsoring a town hall downtown to have people come in and speak on the impact and what we can do to see how we can show that we're being proactive to address this. And so on that note, I didn't have anything else, but I just wanted to bring that out to you guys.
I really appreciate that idea, and I think it's something we should certainly discuss. I think the community will really appreciate that. I know we have a lot of great groups that would be great additions to help invite to that town hall. So I support that 100%.
Okay, thank you.
I support as well. I would want to add to the scope. I think we should add in asthma. I think we should look at all of the kind of health factors and health disparities and discrepancies that we know exist in our city, but especially in North City. I know lead is, all those things. But I'm definitely supportive and would love to help with that.
Okay, I appreciate you all because when it was COVID, I really pushed about the dumping because I was concerned with the city workers didn't have enough PPEs to protect themselves. And all I kept thinking, they were going home to their families, exposing their families, and we didn't know what they were picking up when they were out there cleaning up the dump sites. So I just think that that's something that will be very valuable and it will send a strong message. And maybe we could I had started working with someone a couple of years ago about some legislation in regards to that. And then he was a grantee, so his grant had ran out. So maybe we could find some other organizations that could work with us. So I appreciate you all. So on that note, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
So
So
moved.
moved. Second.
Thank
Previous
you all.
row.
Thank you very much. Great meeting.
Great meeting, Madam Chairwoman. Thank you.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.